My boyfriend Andrew is here making something while I'm filming this podcast, and he's like in the same room, so I'm going to try to act as natural and normal as possible, like somebody's not watching me. Even though you guys watch this, it's different. You know it's different. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be a tougher one to edit.
Do you want me to take a walk or something?
Nope. It's fine. It's fine. I've done this before. Welcome to the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. My name is Jaclyn. This is episode number 62. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as @Jaclyn Salem. I don't do show notes for this podcast, but if you have any questions about anything, you can just leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. I usually respond to all comments if possible. It has been a very, very busy summer for me so far. It's been such a long time since I've recorded because I actually haven't been making a ton, or at least not making as much as I usually do. I think you guys will probably laugh to yourself when I tell you I haven't been making a ton, and then you see all the stuff that is in here. This pile that's next to me is ever growing as I'm just oh, do I have enough to show? And then it's, yeah, a giant pile next to me. So without further ado, let's jump into the crafting content. I'll start with knitting and then go into sewing after that, as usual. I do have a finished object this week. I finished these while I was abroad with my sister in Europe. Oh, the only thing I didn't do was weave in 2 ends. The rest of them are done. Finished a pair of socks. This is my first ever toe-up sock, and I don't like toe-up socks. I'm never going to knit them that way again. I did that because I wanted to maximize the use of the yarn, but even knitting them toe-up, I still had so much left over that my sister has requested I knit a little mini pair of socks for Maverick, my adorable, precious, perfect nephew. And so because I had all that left over after knitting these with the intention of using as much yarn as possible, I was like, well, that's kind of a waste. But I do like how they turned out. This is the Yarn Badger in the colorway Sci-Fi, which every time I look at this, it reminds me of the Stranger Things kind of color palette. Stranger Things, the television show that's on Netflix. It's just these vintagey sci-fi colors, and I think it's really cute. But yes. These are a pair of socks that I knit for Andrew. I cast on 68 stitches, increased to about 70 around this area just to make sure that he could get them over his foot easily, and then decreased back to 68 on the leg. 2x2 rib. I just bound off loosely on the one that I knit toe up. The other one I did cuff down because I was going to make them match, but honestly his socks don't match every day, so it doesn't really matter. I did use a contrast color for the heel and toe. This is Sweet Sparrow Yarns from her first ever advent calendar in the blood orange colorway. It's kind of like a sparkly pink color. Next finished object is not a knitting finished object, but definitely has to be talked about. And in order to talk about this finished object, my coffee table, I have to bring on the person who made it for me, and that would be my boyfriend Andrew. Hi.
Okay, I'm nervous. Never been on a podcast before.
This is Andrew, by the way. Say hello.
Hi.
He made me a coffee table. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should, because the pictures are all New York stuff, craft content, etc. I post in my stories, but yeah, you should tell the story about Provenance and all of that. I needed a coffee table though. That was the first part, and I wasn't finding anything that I wanted, and he very
the
graciously
sizes were really specific.
Yes, exactly.
So we went down to Philly, and I lived in Philly for a while, so it was a fun trip for me, and I took Jaclyn around, and there's this place called Provenance, not the spelled like the town, but
Provenance. I'll put it on the screen so you can see. It's really amazing. They have the coolest treasures.
Yeah, they have a lot of architectural salvage, and raw lumber, and they do a lot of like woodwork in-house. But we picked out this big slab of white oak, and it has beautiful raw edges on the side, and it had a big split, so I made 2 keys to keep the split from
How many times have you done that before?
Once.
See, I was so impressed. I also posted about that on the Instagram post with the final piece, that like, I think that's a quality that we share. We're both just like willing to
dive in.
Yeah, just willing to dive in, even if you haven't done it before, and you figured it out, and it looked amazing. And hopefully by now I've put pictures on the screen so you could see what it looks like, but keep going.
Yeah, I couldn't find the right tools to do it that you're supposed to use, but I think they still turned out pretty good. I think the keys themselves could have been cut a little cleaner, but I'm just self-critical.
What about the legs?
The legs I got made in Brooklyn on, I think that's 38th Street. But there's like, I think 1.25" bar stock. It's all welded and painted black.
They look so
and you had
good.
a very specific design for them.
Yeah, that was part of the process. I pretty much, because I was looking all over furniture websites and couldn't find what I wanted, he could custom make it for me, and so I had very specific design specifications that required custom.
Yep, and we peeled off all the bark and sanded it really baby soft smooth.
It's so nice, you guys.
And
it's
then,
so nice.
We stained it like a dark walnut. It looks like a really...
I was scared to stain it at first because it was already so beautiful that I was like, what if staining it ruins it? But it was perfect. I'm glad that we did. When we first brought it into my apartment after we got the legs back from the metal fabricator, he dropped it off in my apartment. We were just coming here briefly just to put the coffee table in here. Comes downstairs and tells me, I think it's a little too tall. And I was like, it's fine. I'm sure it's okay. And then I come upstairs later and I literally laughed out loud because I wasn't expecting it to be as tall as it was. It was definitely like, we cut, what, like how many inches from it when we took it back? A lot.
11?
Yeah, a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah, almost a foot off of it. But yeah, now
Off
it's
of the
perfect.
metal, not the wood.
Yes.
Yeah, it was too high off the...
But yeah, now it's perfect and I love it.
And it's totally custom.
Yes. Thank you. I do love it. It's perfect. So yeah, that's the story of the coffee table. And now we're making a dining room / games table for him. So we went back to Providence in Philadelphia to pick out the wood for it. It's like a combo of spalted maple and what was the middle one?
Like red oak? Or white oak? I can't remember.
It didn't have a reddish tint to it, so I'm gonna say
Maybe it was white oak.
the white oak again. But yeah, so we're gonna make a cool table for him.
It's gonna be exciting. Still have to find legs. So if anybody out there has like 2 massive industrial, you know, you just want to get rid of it.
I want to get rid of some industrial legs for a dining table. You know who to call. The next knitting project is a work in progress. This is in my Paradise Island project bag. It's pretty much bursting from it because it's so big. And that is my rug sweater. I can't remember if I had already cast this on last time I talked to you guys, but I am finished with the body now, which is very exciting. I did take out one section of the bottom to make it a little bit cropped. So my very dear friend Mary Beth Press has made this sweater and I loved hers so much. I tried it on at Vogue Knitting Live and I was kind of meh about it. I had loved this sweater for so long. This is the rug by Junko, I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, but I'll put it on the screen for sure. And I've wanted to knit this sweater pretty much since I learned how to knit. And I tried it on at Vogue Knitting Live earlier this year in January and was kind of disappointed with it. It just seemed like it was not a good sweater for me. However, at the Knit Local getaway in April, I tried on Mary Beth's, and hers is also a little crop. She left out one of the gold motifs on here. because I think because she just didn't have the yarn, or maybe she just wanted to make it shorter, I don't know, but whatever the reason, it looked so much better this way, and so I decided I wanted to copy hers exactly, and that's what I've done. So I'm using yarn that I got at the Knit Local Getaway. This is a Aran weight, maybe bulky, I'm not quite sure, kind of mystery yarn that I got at the Bat and Kill Fiber Mill. The Bat and Kill Fiber Mill does yarns for Quince and Company, and I think this was like seconds that Quince didn't want, maybe? I don't know, or maybe they were like testing spins, I don't know. I don't even know what the blend of this yarn is. I wish I could remember. I want to say it's like a blend of merino and Corriedale, but I don't know that for sure. But it's this really beautiful gray colorway that has kind of a green tint to it when you see it in certain lights. Really, really pretty. And then the contrast color is this kind of whiskey gold brown color, which I've really just been obsessed with this color lately. I really like it. So that's the contrast color. I only bought one skein of it too, so I think I would have had to have bought more in order to make it longer anyway, so yes. So I've finished the body last night, literally, and I'm so pleased with how it turned out. I tried it on and the length is just perfect on me. It's oversized. It's going to look really cute with jeans, I think. So the only thing I have left to do is to pick up the stitches on the sleeves and knit the sleeves. And that's really not that much knitting. I'll try it on to show you. Because the sleeves, or I guess the yoke, is so long that it already comes down quite far. So we're already at my elbow. So all I really have left to do is the forearm. And I think I'm going to do a 3/4 length sleeve. That's what I've been doing on a lot of my sweaters lately, and honestly I prefer it. It just is a little more comfortable, although this is meant to be like a, you know, bigger cozy sweater, so maybe I will do the full sleeve. I haven't decided yet, but the length is really just perfect for me. The only thing I will say that's like a little bit uncomfortable about it, and this is the design of the sweater, so it's not really anything that I wasn't aware of and I've already tried it on, but I just forged ahead anyway, is that the sleeve like comes down quite far because the yoke comes down quite far. It doesn't allow for like full range of arm movement without pulling the sweater up like this all the way, which is okay. I mean, it's the design of the sweater, but I guess, you know, it's just a little bit, it's not prohibitive to like movement necessarily because it's so oversized, but it is like a little bit weird feeling. I don't know how to describe that, but I'm sure I'll get a lot of use out of it. I cannot wait to block it because my color, I am a loose knitter generally, but with color work I am a little bit tighter, and you can see that it's definitely a little bit tighter in this section right here. So I want to block it so that I can see the color work in all of its glory. I'm very excited about it. So that is the rug sweater by Junko something, I can't remember her name. And I made a cropped version of mine. I left out one motif on the bottom. I think it was just another one of these cross motifs that are on the top of it. And I love these colors. Such classic combination, I think. So this is so close to being a finished project. There have been a few projects that have also had some work on them since the last time I saw you. I have probably worked only a few rows on my Racing Bells colorway socks. That's a colorway by Sweet Sparrow Yarns that I'm just obsessed with. I love it. Just reminds me so much of summertime anytime I look at it. Just really happy summertime stuff. So I really savor the time to work on that. So it's just like a slow moving project. And then the other one is my Nordiska, which you may recall, it was too long the way I knit it. So the pattern as written is extremely cropped, too cropped, indecently cropped for me. And when I knit it, I added like probably 8 inches to it, but that was probably 3 too long. So Julie, like the gem that she is, at the last crafternoon that I had with her and Emily, Slow Fashion Rebel on Instagram, she did all of the work for me in basically cutting an afterthought sweater. So she took out 3 inches above the color work. I would show you, but there are many stitches that are well, actually they're not live right now because she did go ahead and put them on the needles for me, but basically it's like a section of color work is on the needles and then the sweater is on the needles and two different, so I need to like Kitchener them together and then it will be fine. So thank you so much to Julie for doing that for me. Last time I know I was considering re-knitting the color work all together, but I couldn't bring myself to do that. I knew if I had to do that I would never finish it, and Julie had offered to do it, and so many of you were like, let her do it, let her do it. If she says she wants to, she'll do it, and friends do things for other friends, but I couldn't let her re-knit it, but I could let her make an afterthought sweater for me. I really don't know the terminology for this, especially I understand how it works in theory. It's like knitting an afterthought heel where you cut into the sweater, just unravel it, and then Kitchener it back together. So I understand how it works, but I really just didn't have any interest in doing it, and I think it's really sad that sweater would probably have never gotten done, but thanks to Julie, now it will. So thank you, Julie, it's so sweet of you. Alright, and that's it for the knitting projects. So now I'm going to move along to my sewing projects, which are very exciting for me because especially one of the dresses is probably my most favorite sewn item to date. And again, McCall's M6955. This pattern, I have gotten so much use out of this pattern. And I'm not sure if it's in print anymore. I hope it is because I really want to buy another one because, as you know, if you've been watching this podcast for any length of time, I cut into all of my patterns, I don't trace them, so I'd like to have another one as a backup. But basically I kind of use this pattern as a basis in which to modify all of the designs that I have in my head. It's just such a good idea for, basically what happens is I see something in ready to wear that I love. In this case, it's a Cezanne dress. Cezanne is a brand that I've just discovered, and almost every single thing that I've ever seen on their Instagram or people that post about it, I just love the style of their clothes. It's very much my style. So when I saw this dress, I just had to find a way to dupe it. So I use this pattern a lot because it's just really useful for me in that way. It's a full circle skirt, and then the bodices, it's like a tank top, but it's wider strap, not like a spaghetti strap, so you can still comfortably wear a bra with it, or, you know, it's just more comfortable, I guess, than a spaghetti strap would be. And so I use this as the basis to pattern hack and to kind of draft my own necklines. So with this Cezanne dress, it was a very low cut, actually no it wasn't, in the original it was like a high crew neck, but I wanted a low cut square neck because that's just the thing I've been going for lately. And then really the beautiful / sexy part of it is this low back. This right here comes to like very low back on me. This is like the waistline right here, and it's this very open back, and it just looks so pretty on. It's like my French dress, basically. Cezanne is a French brand, and I recently found out they have a storefront in New York, so I've been meaning to go to the Cezanne in Soho so that I can just kind of look at the clothes and take pictures and get inspiration for stuff to make myself. So this is the Cezanne dupe dress, the low cut square front. You may recognize this from this dress that I made last summer. Again, this was used making the M6955. This is a crisscross back dress that I saw again on something like Pinterest or Instagram, and I just wanted to recreate it. And so this one also has a square front. Sorry, it's kind of wrinkly because I wear this dress and the one I'm showing you right now all the time. And so having made this previously, I had a lot of experience about, you know, with wearing it and what I would change in the next one. So I did lower the neckline about another inch, and then I also pinched out some of the length right here because it does gape on me just a little bit in the front. It fits everywhere else quite well, and there are 2 darts in it, so I could bring the darts all the way to the top, but then it would look like a princess seam, and aesthetically I just don't like how princess seams look. So I pinched out some in this middle section right here and then just kind of made it not so gaping that way. It does still have a slight gape in the front, but it's not incredibly noticeable. I lined it with the same fabric that I used to line the bodice in this dress. It's this really nice, thin, breathable cotton. I definitely prefer lining skirts, lining anything really, in cotton as opposed to silk. I just don't really like silky types against my skin that much, especially in summer. They just feel sticky to me, so I much prefer cotton as a lining fabric. And I did find some other, because I'm almost out of this lining fabric and I've been using it for everything else, I bought some new lining fabric. I'll show you, it's in this bag here. It's very similar, just not striped. This one's like, the one I've been using is a very subtle stripe, and this one is just a solid, but similar fabric type. It's almost like shirting material. So this is my Cezanne dress. I love it so much, this full circle skirt. This fabric is a kind of like cotton linen-y blend. Let me see if I can show you up close. It looks gray in a lot of pictures, but it's actually blue, kind of nubby. And this was a leftover from Grace, who is Weezer Dreams on Instagram, who I learned so much from in all things sewing. And she was getting rid of a bunch of fabric, so I saw this and loved it. And I think it's perfect for this dress. I just love the back of this dress so much. I think it turned out so well. Oh, other modifications that I made, I knew that I needed to shorten the straps quite a bit on this one. The circle skirt, even for the smallest size on here, which is weird because typically I fall, well, I guess I do. This is the larger pattern range. This is the 14 to 22. And typically with patterns, I make anywhere for bottoms, at least for the tops, it's smaller, but for the bottoms, I make anywhere from like an 8 to a 12. So I usually have to take out quite a bit from the waist, but that's not difficult. And I also raised, as a comparison to this dress, I raised the waistline a little bit, which makes all the difference in how flattering it looks when it's on. So I probably raised it at least 1.5 inches or maybe 2 inches, whereas this one sits a little bit lower, and because the waistline sits a little bit lower, and because of how much I love how the waistline looks on this one, I'm thinking about changing or fitting this one slightly different to have a higher waistline, just because it looks so much better. And that is my Cezanne dupe dress. Probably my favorite garment I've made to date. The next dress that I'm going to show you has gotten a lot of publicity on Instagram because Deer and Doe so awesomely reposted the dress that I made. So I made the Pensy dress. This is a pattern by Deer and Doe, and they have a top pattern of the Pensy. It's a Pensy top and then a Pensy dress. And the Pensy dress as it comes is a shorter dress. It's like a mini length dress that comes just above the knee. I really wanted a maxi version of this dress, so that's what I did. I described my process in full on Instagram, so sometimes I sew on my Instagram stories where I show in detail every single part of the process of making a dress or making some sort of clothing item, and this is one of the ones that I did. So if you're interested in how I made this, you can get the full blow-by-blow account on Instagram stories. It's a published highlight to see how I made this and how I lengthened it, and yeah, so that was a really fun project. It's sewn in a navy silk that I got at HM Fabrics in the Garment District, affectionately referred to as Janky Store by many in New York. And yeah, I think it turned out really, really well. I will say I haven't worn it very much. It is a fancier dress and I don't mind that aspect of it. I don't know why I haven't been wearing it like very often. I've only worn it like maybe 2 times since I've made it, and I finished it well over a month ago now, so probably like a month and a half ago, and I've only worn it twice. So that's kind of a shame. I don't really know what's holding me back from it. Maybe just because it is a longer dress. I do like maxi length items, that's why I made it maxi length, but I don't know what's holding me back on this one. Maybe because it's a silky fabric, so if I made this again in something like a rayon challis or something that is a little slightly more casual, I think with the kind of more formal fabric and the formal length, and it's just kind of overkill on a daytime wear dress, and it's more of an occasion dress. But if I made it again in a slightly more casual fabric, Kitty, if I made it again in a slightly more casual fabric, even in the maxi length, I think I would probably get more use out of it. I've made a second of these dresses already, which unfortunately I don't have to show you, but it's so similar. The only difference is that I made it in an olive silk fabric, and I made it in the short version as the pattern is written. One of my favorite details about this dress is the open back. I really like open back features on tops, dresses, you name it. It's one of my favorite things. If I see an open back something in ready to wear, it's gonna make me want to get it much more than if it didn't. I don't know how to say that, but I'm sure you guys understand what I mean. But yeah, I do love the open back feature on it. And it has facings, which make for this really clean edge as opposed to bias binding. I did kind of waffle if I wanted to do a bias binding on it because I don't really like how facings flip up all the time. And this one does kind of flip up in the back a little bit. If I iron it a little more aggressively, then I'm sure it would be okay. But the facing just makes for such a clean edge that I couldn't not do it. It's very modern. I love the spaghetti straps. I don't know how you would complete the project as designed without a loop turner. I don't have one right in front of me to show you, but a loop turner essentially is a little metal tool that has a hook on the end of it that you stick through the strap that you can pull the tube inside out, and I really have no clue how you would do it, like complete the straps or the ties on this dress without it, because they are quite small and delicate. I believe they are 1/8 inch straps. On my olive one, I went ahead and did 1/4 inch straps just because the 1/8 inch straps are kind of difficult to sew as well with the slinky, silky fabric like that. And it's fine, it looks okay. I do think that the 1/8 inch straps do add something very delicate and feminine to it, but not enough to really like make a huge difference. So I'll insert the pictures of me wearing this Pensy dress, and hopefully I'll get some taken of my olive one to show you as well, or I'll just show you on the next podcast. And again, that is the Pensy dress by Deer and Doe Patterns. They've done a lot since I purchased my first pattern from them years ago. I think I purchased that. I purchased the Fume Terre skirt probably 3.5 years ago, and the size range was very limited. I sewed the second to the largest size, which is pretty atypical for me. Usually I fall somewhere in the middle. So when that happens, that automatically signals to me that the size inclusivity of the patterns is not very good. They have since increased the range. There's so many, they're like I think 17 sizes in general, but it doesn't really extend the range higher or lower by a significant amount. Really what they've done is given you a better fit for your measurements. So the distance between the measurements is very incrementally small, which means you can get a really good fit if you're in the range of the patterns, but I still think they have a ways to go when it comes to size inclusivity. So there's kind of good things and bad things to it. I do love how this dress turned out, and we'll probably make more. Again, I've already made a second one. I really want to make a top version next because I think it would be a really cute top. But yes, Pensy dress, Deer and Doe Patterns. Okay, I have one more sewing project to share with you, and I'm very excited about this one. I've put a lot of effort into making it as good as I can make it with the skills and tools that I have. So, leather bag. I got this bag. This is not it, by the way, in case that was not obvious to you. I got this bag as a freebie from Victoria's Secret when I purchased a perfume from them. And I love the size and shape of this bag. I use it all the time. It's the perfect weekender bag. I used it when I went to a weekend wedding in St. Louis not too long ago. It's just like a really great size for like 3 or 4 days of travel. Probably more, honestly. I could probably get more days out of it with that, but this bag is perfect. The strap, the hand strap length is really roomy and comfortable. The shoulder strap is really amazing. The size and shape of it, it's basically a large size box bottom project bag. It's awesome. What's not awesome is this heinous print on it. And I'm sure maybe some of you will find this incredibly adorable, but if you've been following me for any length of time, you know I tend to go for more classic combinations, like solids, stripes, classic fabrics, leather, you know, so you name it. You guys know what I like. This is not it. It's useful though, and it's functional. So what I've done is I have measured the bag, taken extensive notes, and I have muslined. I know, it's crazy, right? I never make muslins, by the way. If you're new here, sewing and knitting is my relaxation thing. I don't make my living off of it. I don't take it too seriously, I guess is what I'm saying. It's my way of relaxing and having fun. I'm so perfectionistic when it comes, in type A, when it comes to probably any other thing in my life. But when it comes to sewing and knitting, 3 sheets to the wind, it's fine. But when you're working with materials like real leather, which is what I purchased for this, it seems a little bit dodgy and irresponsible to not muslin, or to take it a little more seriously when an animal is involved. I don't want to get preachy with you. I'm not a vegetarian or anything like that, but it just I think it's just the responsible thing to do. So I muslined the bag, took all the measurements, added my seam allowances, even included the pocket in here, and kind of worked my way through how I wanted to attach the pocket so that you couldn't see the seam on the outside. So it's an envelope style pocket that attaches at the top of the bag. And yeah, muslined the bag. Bought all of the tools and notions. Here's some of the notions. These are the D-rings that go on this outside edge here where the shoulder strap will clip in. I bought like 3 different kinds because I couldn't decide what kinds I wanted, but these are the ones I'm going with. I love these little flat, like antique bronze ones. Here's the kind of bag of hardware that I got from Pacific Trimming. This is a shop in the Garment District. This is the same as the other one, just smaller, but I figure the wider the shoulder strap, the more comfortable it will be, so I'm just going to use the larger one instead. And then I also got these kind of rounded ones, but again, they're on the smaller side, and I just liked the flat ones better. I thought they looked cooler. Sliders for the shoulder strap, although I don't think I'm going to make the shoulder strap adjustable. I have not once I adjusted the strap the first time on the one that I've been using, I've never adjusted it since. So it just seems like a waste of material and more fabric and heavy like bulk where there doesn't need to be. So I don't think I'm actually going to end up using that. And then you heard Andrew and I mention the shop Provenance in Philly. They have a bunch of just like, I don't know, treasures, metal treasures, and I found these florets, which I think would be really cool, centered on the hand strap just as like an adornment. But you know me, classic stuff. I don't really want to overload the bag with like adornments and embellishments, so I'm still kind of on the fence if I'm going to use these or not, but I do really like them and I've been saving them for a special project, and I think this would be a good place to do it. I think they're just really sweet. So I have 12 of these in total, maybe 11, but I figured I might use 4 of them for that purpose. That's all my hardware. I still have to go back because I forgot to buy this piece right here. I don't know what these are called, but this little clip so it will attach to the D-rings. The leather I bought, oh, this is such a rookie rookie mistake that I did. So like, okay, when I first started sewing clothing, I bought my fabrics like so dense, so thick, because I was like holding it up to the light and it was see-through, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be see-through on my body. That's not the case, and that's just such a like rookie thing to do. But it's okay, you live, you learn, you sew things, and you get more experience. It's okay. But all of my early garments were so heavy and so thick and so like uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, but just like heavy and thick where they didn't need to be. So no flowy garments or anything like that, until I like learned that when it's on your body, it's not the same situation. Like if you hold up any of your ready to wear clothes to the light, you're going to be able to see through it. It's, you know, not a big deal. But when I was purchasing the leather for this project, it was a similar situation where I was like, well, I want this to be really heavy duty and I want it to, last forever. But I bought leather that was, let's be honest, way too thick. Way too thick. Here's a little scrap of it right here. You can see it is super, super dense. Way more dense than it needs to be. And because of that, my machine is having a really hard time sewing through more than 2 layers at any given moment. So some of the muslin pieces have 4 layers in some places, like right here where the strap, or not the strap, where the D-ring tab kind of is, and then this part right here for where the zipper is, and then the bag itself. There's like 4 to 6 layers of fabric right there. There's absolutely no way that machine, even my industrial Bernina fancy Rolls-Royce machine, even that machine is not getting through it. So I bought special needles for leather. Let me back up a little bit. So some things you're going to need for a leather project, any leather project really. Leather needles. These are just kind of thicker, heavyweight needles that are specially made to go through leather. I bought nylon thread as opposed to polyester thread. You can still use polyester thread, but all of the blogs I was reading said that nylon thread is the best. And for an heirloom project, I just wanted to make sure I was buying the tools and notions and materials that would make this bag last as long as possible. So I bought brown nylon thread, which is in my machine still, so I'm not going to bring it out here to show you. It doesn't really look any different though than regular thread. You just have to ask for nylon thread. A hammer. So because it's leather, you can't steam it to press the seams open because the water will damage it. So you need a hammer to hammer your seams open, which is quite therapeutic and really fun. Other tools and notions that you need for that might be it for the specific feet. So for your sewing machine, you're going to want to get a Teflon foot. Teflon is just a fancy word for plastic. So the plastic foot doesn't stick to the leather in the same way that a metal foot does. However, I don't have a Teflon foot for my Bernina because I thought going into it, I'll just use my Brother machine, which was the machine I was using before I got my Bernina from my grandmother. And I used a Teflon foot on my Brother, but my Brother just didn't have the power to do it, and I hate that because it's one of the main questions that you guys have been asking me on Instagram, is if a regular machine can do it. I really and truly think a regular machine could sew leather that was not this thick. I really do. Like my Brother machine got me through so many projects. I think it's just this leather in particular being as thick as it is, that's why I had to use my regular one. So my Brother machine quickly found out after breaking 2 needles in less than 10 minutes that this was just not going to work. So I had to switch to my Bernina machine. So here's the bag so far. It's not finished. I am in love with this leather. It's so beautiful. I just wish that I bought a lighter weight hide. And it has the pocket. I originally bought black zippers. I don't know, right there. I originally bought black zippers for it, but the other day I woke up at literally 4 a.m. and could not sleep because I was so excited about making this bag, and I was like, I need brown zippers. Brown zippers, that's what's going to look better. Why did I get black ones? And so I went to the garment district that morning and bought a brown zipper for the main, and then I bought a red zipper for this interior pocket right here, and I think it's such a cute detail. I love red, the color red, like especially for pops and accessories. I've made the Range backpack by Needlehead in red canvas for the envelope style pocket, which you can see there. And I've had to revise my design. Originally, I guess I'll show you the actual bag. The zipper is attached to these two pieces that are then attached to this, but because I can only sew through 2 layers at any given moment, I've had to revise the design so that the top of the bag is just the front and the back, because it won't sew through all the layers on the side. I've attached this tab to the side here to insert like so. Hope you can see that. And I'll do the same thing on this end here, just so it has a more finished look. And then I still need to add the hand straps, the D-rings, and the shoulder strap. But yeah, this is it so far. There's the seam. It's not perfect. It's a little bit, I'm a little bit disappointed because I feel like I have invested a lot of money, especially into the material, and I wanted it to be perfect, but it's okay. I still like how it's turning out. I just hope it's as durable as I want it to be, because the box bottom seam, it's 4 layers, so again, my machine can't sew over it. So I can sew up to in this little corner, in the box bottom corner. Sorry, I know this is very difficult to see, it's just kind of unwieldy. So you can see in that center right there, there's like a little bit that's not sewn through all the way. Andrew had the idea that maybe a staple gun could secure that to make sure that it doesn't open. I'm going to look into that. If you have suggestions for me on how I can finish this bag, because even my Bernina can't sew through all those layers, but if you think that would work, let me know. But here's the side of the bag. These seams have been hammered open to be as flat as possible. So I just kind of have to figure out a way to get this zipper in the top. That's my last like major hurdle. After that, the rest of it is easy. It's going to be sewing the straps, hand strap, tabs, that's it. So really the last tricky part is this zipper for the top. But the size is great. It is a very, very nice leather, nice material. It's just a lot heavier than it needed to be. We'll just say that. And that's it for the sewing and the knitting project. So I do have some acquisitions to show you, some material, some fabrics that I bought recently that I thought would be fun to share. Oh, I should start with my England purchase. So of course I had to stop in Liberty while I was there. I will say Liberty fabric is not really my style aesthetically, but you know, you make exceptions for when you're there visiting. I bought this fabric here. These are some remnants. I think there's 1 yard in this, or maybe 1 meter. So I might be able to make like an Ogden cami out of this, or some sort of top. I think that's cute. And then I don't really know what I'm going to do with this one yet. Again, a 1 meter remnant. But the fabric is just so beautiful. Jafar is like rubbing his face all over it. It's so pretty. It reminds me a lot of the Rifle Paper Company fabric that I used to make my first Ogden cami. That top has mysteriously disappeared. I'm pretty sure that my laundromat must have lost it, because I have no idea where else it could have gone if it wasn't lost at the laundromat. So these are my 2 Liberty purchases. And then I discovered a new to me fabric store in Bay Ridge. I can't remember what it's called, but it is a tiny but mighty, well-stocked store. I saw this and I was like, okay, so 90s. This like lilac corduroy, which I think would make an excellent like 70s button-up A-line skirt. I actually have a pattern already from a skirt that I've already made. I cannot remember what it's called for the life of me though. But I think this would make an amazing 90s inspired skirt. And then I got this matching purple silk for like pocket lining. Jafar, can you move? this purple silk for pocket linings and I don't know, whatever lining I might need to do with that. I found this cotton window pane fabric. It's a dark gray. Don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, but it was very inexpensive and quite nice. It's really soft. And then I thought that this fabric, oh, it's so amazing. It's like chartreuse, gold, and black at the same time. Would make an amazing skirt. So my bird skirt that I made for my birthday, again using M6955, and I just added a waistband. This would make an awesome skirt. Could you imagine this with like a black top? So cute. And I think, oh yes, and then the lining fabric that I showed you earlier, just a lot of lining fabric because this is so soft and comfortable. All right. Oh, no, one more. So I knew I would have a little bit of leather left over, not a lot. So I thought maybe a tote bag or some sort of little like toiletries bag. I bought this herringbone fabric that I'll use for the top part and then use like leather along the bottom. But again, after sewing this bag, it's very, very thick. Who knows if I need it. I might be better off just going back to Global Leathers in the Garment District where I got this fabric. Global Leathers, by the way, a fantastic shop. They are so nice, so willing to go out of their way to help you find what you need. Very, very highly recommend if you're in the market for leather and you're in the city. Global Leathers, not sponsored, just a fan. But going to their scrap bin and getting some brown scrap to use with this in a lighter weight. And that is it. That's all of it. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been wonderful talking to you again. I'm sorry it's been so long. Hopefully, I don't want to say hopefully I'll talk to you. I do love recording podcasts, but I just have to record whenever I have enough to show, I feel like. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next video.